right. So let me introduce you all, if you're watching, to my peace table here I have. Let me show you my peace table because I don't have a big house to have like a meditation. Well, I could have a meditation corner, but I just don't have room for that. So I just created me a space here in my living area on my with my peace table. So let me show this to you. Got my thing here. All right. So this is my peace table, right? Asanjawa, could you come turn on the light? So this is my peace table. I have different sound tools for meditation. Yeah. Some of these, when I ask for gifts, people gift it to me or buy it. Okay. From Amazon, because I have my Amazon storefront. These are items, most of these items you can find on my Amazon storefront. And so I have like my Tibetan singing bowl. It is singing. Okay. And then I have my Tibetan symbols as well. And if you're into sound meditation, I mean, sometimes my husband, he'll use these tools while I'm just laying flat on the ground and just listening to it. Because honestly, I have a chronic back pain. That's why I had to retire early from work at one point. I had to retire because of the back pain. Yeah. But since having this table, guys, it has really helped to strengthen me mentally, okay, as well as physically. There's my dental appointment coming in. And of course, before I even get started, I usually spray. You know how people have the sage? I don't like to burn too that sage stuff. So I have the sage spray as well and the sage candle. You can see burning here. And I spray this. This starts my morning. I do this before going to work in the morning and in the afternoons at night before I rest. Because at night, I write in my gratitude journal, right? And I put in here, let's see. I just love the parchment style paper. I put 3 things that I'm grateful for, all right? Yeah. And then I also put in here whatever my meditation, whatever affirmation card that I have, because I have affirmation cards, I'll write it in here in the mornings before I write my gratitude at night. Yeah, that reminds me. And I stick this in my purse. That's what I like about it, because it's small enough to stick in your purse. Yeah. So I have that. I also have, now this is my tool that I'm just falling in love with. This here. And you can find this on Amazon too. I went and found it. Oh my gosh. This is, and you can use it like a drum. That's just so relaxing to me. But, you know, just surrounding yourself with things that are positive, especially in this negative world, it is good to align yourself to something positive. What I do, the pens that I write with my journal, they also have little positive messages. Yeah. I think that all teachers, I'm telling you something, I was in a program called, a certification called Trauma Informed Teachers. And it talked about, of course, kids bring in trauma, and that trauma can be transferred over to teachers dealing with kids who have trauma. I think that having a peace table or a prayer room or whatever you call it in your home is necessary and will help to balance you. You know, I'm seeing a lot of news stories on television with teachers who are just crashing out on students, right? Even the police officer recently here in the Atlanta, Georgia area, tasing that student. And I know students can get to a point wherein you ask them to do something and they don't do it. They do that as early as elementary. So when I saw the high school student, the police officer asked him to remove himself from the bus. It was not a shock to me that he didn't move, because you have elementary students doing this to teachers, okay? Students, you think if they're 6, 7, 8 years old, they should obey what a teacher asks them to do. You'll say, sit down, and those same students will stand up and look at you. So, it is not surprising to see, but it's unfortunate because if somebody hit my child, we would have a problem too, right? But it's not surprising to see, especially in middle school and high school, because they do it in elementary school. It's just that the elementary teachers are a little bit more patient than high school and middle teachers with it, because we at that stage are really trying to help to mold them, right? To get ready for that stage. And when you have kids, you're trying to teach, and you have kids coming into a classroom and not doing what you're asking, for them, and then they're not only distracting you, they're distracting the other students from learning as well, right? That could be wearing on a teacher, especially when a teacher has her quotas to meet in terms of test scores, moving them up, right? And then you have kids coming into a classroom and not obeying a teacher, right? I know some people say, well, they're just kids. No, it's not just about being kids. Now, back in the day when I first started teaching, it probably wouldn't be a problem. You wouldn't have that many teachers crashing out. Why? Because back in the day when I started teaching, you didn't have this thing called data. Data started, maybe my 7th year teaching. That's when data got really, principals and state representatives, they started looking at data. And so it made teachers have to move students, along a continuum based on that data. That's very stressful because, I hear that some people say, some principals or some administrators say, you have to deal with the factors in the classroom, but that's just not true, because you're dealing with factors outside the classroom, things you cannot see that are interfering with this child's ability to learn, right? And so teachers are then, getting back to wellness, teachers are then responsible for, are accountable for these students who are not following directions in the classroom. And this is why you see so many of these teachers crashing out. Now, the teacher in Rockdale County, I was an employee there in Rockdale County at one point, right? I've had students like that. I had students call me B's, and I'm talking about 3rd grade student. One student came up to me, he said, you know why I called you a B? I'm saying B, but you know the cuss word for it. I said, why? He said, because you didn't let me do something. See, this is what parents need to understand, what some teachers are dealing with in a classroom. It's not just teaching. It's not just trying to correct a student who maybe didn't raise their hand, or, maybe did some type of one-off misbehavior that you can just correct in the classroom. We're talking about defiance, disobedience, things that interfere with the flow of a instructional program, right? And so when I was in Rockdale County, I had to deal with those type of classrooms as well, right? It got to the point that I said, well, I might as well go to APS if I have to deal with this. You know what I mean? And get paid more, because at that time, APS was getting paid about 10K or more. But when I went to APS, I didn't have any classes like that. It was a dream, okay? So if you're a teacher, you're trying to find a home, don't just go by what you hear about a system. Go and look for yourself, because some of these schools in the system might be more stressful than others, but there are some you can find a home, okay? But anyway, getting back to that, so I can see why teachers crash out. So it's important, I think, for all teachers to get some type of training to be trauma informed, because that changed me. And I didn't become trauma informed until I retired, because then I had time to go to a staff development that I wanted to go to, that I thought that could help me, right? And so I went to this staff development called Trauma Informed Schools with Metro Atlanta. We were in there for 3 days, and I learned so much. Just for those 3 days, I learned so much. I learned enough that could keep me calm when a student is actively tearing up the classroom, or repeatedly every day being defiant. It helped to center me and to control me. Yeah, control my mind, so that you don't crash out like you see some of these other teachers in Rockdale County and other places crashing out on students. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's important to have something that you can center yourself with. And this is what has helped me. And that is my peace table. I don't have a big room, big house to put a big prayer room, But I do have a table with different meditation tools that I can use. I have my affirmation cards. I have my breathing machine. The candles are just to create the ambiance. Okay, I'm Christian, so I have my crucifix there. I also have what I allow some of my students to have in the classroom, because some students have different disorders or disabilities that they also need something to fidget with. And I like this because it doesn't make any noise. It's less likely they're going to be tapping it, right? And so the whole objective of this fidget toy here, you fidgeting with your hand. When it turns the same color and then it beeps in your hand, it kind of provides like a release almost. I use this for myself, right? Yeah. And so you need to have something that can center you. I have different, I was introduced to sound meditation at my job where I am now. I have a wonderful principal who really believes in wellness. And so I was introduced to sound meditation. So I decided to buy different sound tools for meditation as well. Okay. I bought that. Now I didn't buy this. I was given this as a gift, but you can find these on my Amazon storefront. I'll put this on the live stream, or I do a live stream on it to give you my store code. And then of course things like this, my rain drum, so relaxing. So yeah, so teachers definitely need it. But let me tell you who else can benefit from a peace table in a home. Oh yeah, I do have my little. Have you ever had lemon candy from Italy, baby? It will wake you up. If you need something to go ahead, wake you up for the day, grab you one lemon candy from Italy, baby. That it'll wake up your taste buds. It sure will. But getting back to teachers, though, seriously, and the peace table. My daughter uses this peace table as well. We teach our kids to try to be smart or to play sports. But one thing that we are not teaching our kids that they need today is wellness, self-care. We have to teach our kids that, whether they have any type of autism, ADHD, whatever, depression, anxiety, just any kids, any neurotypical kid, they need to know about self-care, about wellness, about how to control your emotions. Because let me tell you something, I don't care how smart your child is. I don't care. If they cannot regulate their emotions, they're getting hardly anywhere in this society. And that's what we're missing, because we got kids who are unregulated coming into the school buildings, okay, not being able to control their emotions. And then sometimes when you talk to their parents can't either. So you're talking to a brick wall. This is why I believe some of these teachers are crashing out on students, because they're not getting help from anybody. Because see, some behaviors might seem small, like not raising your hand, speaking out. But when a child is doing that constantly during the class period, that becomes a major distraction. And that's something that admin needs to deal with immediately. Okay? That shouldn't be just a teacher problem anymore. Not if it's taking away from that teacher's ability to teach and other students' ability to learn and that own student's ability to learn. Okay? And this is why you have so many teachers crashing out, because they're not getting support from admin and they can't get the support from the parent, because talking to the parent is almost like talking to the child. Yeah. And the thing is, when I used to be a parent instructional support coordinator in Gwinnett, right? One of the things that I learned very quickly is that parents' experiences in schools, what their experience was in school, they don't forget it either. And they parent from that perspective, and they talk to school officials from that perspective. And sometimes it's not good because they don't trust schools because of their bad experiences in schools. Some parents do not trust schools, okay, or teachers because of their experience. And unfortunately, when you as a parent, when you let your child know that, you are in for a world of trouble. You're in for, you cannot let let me tell all parents this. I don't care how bad what happens. You cannot let your child lose trust or respect in the educational system that they will have to go through every year. When you do that, you have lost. Because that child will show defiance to any teacher that they get. They won't show any type of level of respect or revere for the teacher. And you're going to have problems. You should never let your child know if you dislike a teacher or if you don't trust. You shouldn't let your child know that. Yeah. And now there's a case wherein a teacher's abusive or something like that, of course, but I'm talking about just normal. You don't like something that a teacher says, you better keep that to yourself. Because once you let that child know that, and that child already has trouble regulating their emotions, you are in for a terrible year. And remember, that child only has your teacher for 1 year. You have that child for the rest of your life. Okay? So when you're dealing with teachers that you're having trouble or miscommunication with, you need to keep that to yourself and not let your child know that. Because once you let your child know that, and that child already has difficulty regulating their emotions, you're going to continue to have problems. And it will get worse as that child gets older. Okay? And so even having a peace table for your own child at your table, if your child has difficulties like with ADHD, autism, depression, anxiety, it is good to have something like this in the home that your child can go to regulate themselves, a peace table. Or if you have a room, you have a corner, you can set up a corner in your home, okay? Or with pillows, just something that your child can go to and relax and clear their mind, okay? Hope you have a blessed day, Mom. Thank you so very much. You too. So you need to have a place where your child can go to in a home to center themselves, to relax, to just calm, because we have to start teaching our children this, because we're living in a different society, one that is online, and they're using a lot of technology. Yeah, that technology itself. I remember when I was in Thomasville, when I was teaching at Cross Creek, what is his name? I can't remember the principal, at Dr. Carnegie. He was so wonderful. I had some difficult classes there that they gave me, but they knew I could do it. And with their support, I was able to do it, because I had classrooms wherein I had to be the counselor for the first hour or hour and a half before we even started class. We had to do circles. We had to do SEL activities before we could even get into teaching. And it worked well, because I had a principal who believed in it, believed in me, and gave me whatever I needed for that classroom. There's some teachers that can handle it. There's some teachers who will be crashing out on students. Okay? Yeah. And so it's very important to work with, because let me tell you something. Teachers do not have the time to be calling parents every day. They don't even want to call you every day. We have too much work to do. So if a teacher is calling you about your child's behavior, that's not a one-off incident. That's been coming. That's been building. And they're calling you, they need your help. Like, yeah, because sometimes you can call parents. I remember a couple of years ago, I called a parent about a child, and the parent said, well, I'm at work, so I'm doing my job, but you need to do yours. That's what the parent told me. Luckily, the child didn't hear that. But I guarantee you that child has heard that at the house, because we don't filter our mouths. And we need to. Especially if you're a single parent, because I've been there. You better filter your mouth so that you can continue to work your job. Because sooner, at one point or another, teachers keep calling you year after year. You get to middle school, your child gets to middle school and high school, they're going to start putting them out. Okay? Teachers don't have time to be calling you. So if teachers are calling you, they're asking you for help, for partnership, not to talk bad about your child. They're asking for partnership. Okay? Yeah. All right. So that is it. And that's one of the, I don't know how this conversation came up, but I'm glad it did come up, because it's one of the things that we do need to talk about in our society, is that kids, and of course we do SEL activities in the classroom. So it tells you as a parent, it's something that's needed in and I learned this too. I have 2 children with autism. I learned this too, that Grades are great because being smart will help you get into the door, right? It will help you get the job. But having high social emotional skills, that's what's going to help you keep the job. That's what's going to help your child keep the job. So you're going to have to do a balance of both. Yeah, you're getting your good grades, but you're going to have to teach your child how to self-care, how to self-regulate, how to take care of themselves mentally nowadays, okay? Things have changed from when we were growing up. Kids are dealing with so much information coming at them at once, okay? They need a way that they can clear their minds, refocus, and focus on the main thing. And having something like this, like a peace table or a corner or whatever it is in your room. And I have some more items that are coming in that I bought because my daughter also uses this table. Okay. And many of these items are on my Amazon storefront. I've never announced this on TikTok. I don't know how we got on this subject, but I will give you the link to my Amazon store. You can find some of these same items that you can use for yourself as adults and your kid. I know for me, my husband noticed a shift because I used to go meditate before COVID to this Buddhist temple here in Atlanta. If you're in the Atlanta area, I think it was in Chamblee, somewhere over there. And when COVID came, I didn't go back. All right. So I understand the power of meditation. I took my son there because he had ADHD. I took my son there with me as well. I took my other son too, for him to, because I think he was getting ready to go off to college, and I wanted him to learn some wellness tips, because it can be overwhelming. We have to start thinking about not only our children's grades in school, but we also have to think about their mental health.